Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo Buddhaya. Dear Dhamma friends, we warmly welcome you for this program, and we are very happy to have you here to share the teachings of a Buddha and also to help others to learn Buddhist teachings and then to make our lives successful and develop the qualities that we have, to develop the good qualities that we have, and also to develop more qualities in life. So we have been doing many episodes with you all with the help of SLV Global in Sri Lanka. While you are engaging in volunteer activities in Sri Lanka, it was a pleasure for us to have you here. And then many volunteers who came to these programs, it was the first day, most of the people who participated, we heard from them that it was the first time they have learned the Buddhist teachings. And then to develop meditation and to know what real meditation is. And some of them, they didn't know that there's a life after death, and that life depends on the way how we live. And mostly people are only concerned about the body, not about the mind. People are concerned about the beauty, but not the beauty in the mind. So people are very concerned about education, but not about mindfulness. Then people are very concerned about gaining and accumulating wealth, possessions, but not mental development. Why? When you lose material things, when you lose possessions, if we do not have a developed mind, we will suffer. When we lose our loved ones, we suffer. When we mix with people that we do not like, we feel bad. Then when we use this body, from time to time this body will give us problems. Right? Sometimes this is strong, sometimes this is weak. And one day this will come to a stage where this will become weak for many years and die. So when we face such incidents from birth to death, we need to have a source. We need to have a proper solution to face these difficulties with a confident mind. Because we can't give up this body, right? We have to be with this body until we die. And then, it's not only gains that we experience in life, we experience losses as well. We are not always praised, we are blamed as well. It's not always we are going through happiness, we go through suffering as well. So, in this world, you call it, there are vicissitudes. It's changing, not remaining. Even the weather is changing. So, while the world is changing rapidly, if we do not have a confident mind to face these incidents from time to time, to overcome suffering, people take various, some people take various decisions to overcome suffering. Some people, to overcome suffering, to forget things, they consume alcohol. They need to listen to songs. They need to go on trips. Then some people have to sleep to forget things. But then the moment you wake up, again you feel sad. But if you can meditate, meditating means, maintaining your mind in a wholesome state, having the possibility and having the ability of letting go things, being in the present, not going to the past and not dreaming on the future. What we do is, we live according to the mind. We live according to the thoughts that get generated in the mind. The thing is, when we see something, if it is pleasant, then a mind will generate a thought, and according to that thought, we perform actions. But when we perform those actions, we should be aware whether those actions are good for us and good for others, and whether these actions will lead to regret and remorse in life. So that's why while using this human life, we need mindfulness. Because Buddha said, before we perform action, it could be a mental action, it could be a verbal action, it could be a bodily action. Before we perform, before we think, we should be aware of what we do. Now, if we do not have a lot of mindfulness to know what we are going to do before we do something, at least while doing something, we should be aware. If a person has not developed mindfulness to a great extent, at least he should be aware after doing something, after performing action, he should be aware that whether that action was good or bad. Now, in these three occasions, if a person does not have mindfulness, they are the one who regret. They are the one who take revenge from others. They are the one who get angry at others. They are the one who feel jealous of others. They are the one who end up their entire life in the prisons. So, dear Dhamma friends, Buddhist teachings helps us in many ways, because we are living in a human world which is a mixture of happiness and suffering. Even if we are born among divine beings one day, that is also not permanent. It's impermanent. Even this human world is not permanent, it's impermanent. Buddha said, our life is like some fruits hanging in a tree. You all have seen fruits, right? What are the most popular trees that you have? The most popular fruits that you have in your countries? Apple. What are the other trees that you have? Fruit trees? Huh? Pear trees. So just imagine the nature of apples. Do all the apples fall after it's ripened? No. Some apples fall when it is very at the beginning stage. Some apples fall down. Some apples before it ripens falls. Some it get rotten in the tree. Some it get rotten in the tree itself. So there's a variation among fruits as well, right? So our life is also like that. Some humans, they die at the age of 5 years. Some small babies die in the mother's womb. Some people die at the teenage. Some die at the middle age. Some, they live 80, 90 years, and the last stage, they suffer immensely, enormously. They suffer so badly, and without being conscious, without knowing what they are eating, without knowing what they are doing, without knowing where they are living, they die. It's like a fruit is being rotten and still hanging on a tree. Now we have seen apple trees, but were we able to compare the nature of fruits to our life? Difficult. That's why we need a guidance from a person like a Buddha to be mindful and to be aware the real nature of our life. Now, what's the benefit of being aware of the death? What's the benefit? Now, I said, death can happen at any point of time, and we have to mix with people that we do not like. We have to go through diseases. What's the advantage, especially knowing that our death can happen at any time and it's like fruits hanging in a tree? The advantage is, before we die, we should die with a developed mind. If we die with an undeveloped mind, the birth is also coming together with an undeveloped mind. What's the nature of a developed mind? The nature of a developed mind is, when there's incident, when there are moments for you to feel sad, you don't feel sad. When there are moments for lust to arise, sometimes we get attached to things, right? And we can't live without them. When we can't live without them, we regret, we suffer. Some people become very arrogant. Don't some people fight for girls? Don't boys fight for girls? Don't girls fight for men? Don't people fight for properties? Don't people fight for countries? Over kingships? Don't big groups get together? Don't countries split into groups and fight each other? Why? Now will they live for 300? Will they live for 300-400 years and enjoy this human world? No. Sometimes people fight to capture and to conquer countries, and after few years, sometimes it will be conquered by another person. If we conquer countries and if we can take to our next life, even if our relatives can take it to our next life, no harm. But nobody in the past who conquered countries have taken to their next life. It was just thoughts of hatred arisen among people. Isn't it, dear Dhamma friends? So the advantage is, when you know that death can happen any point of time, when you know that knowledge, when you have that knowledge, you will have the effort to develop your mind. You will have the effort to do wholesome deeds, like you all came all the way in your teenage, in your young age, in your youth, to do some volunteer work. Now, as I told you before we started this program, now you will be in Sri Lanka for 3 months or 6 months. After 6 months, when you go back to your home country, you will have a big baggage and some souvenirs. So, while on your way back to your homes, you might lose your luggage. You might, after you land in your airport in your home country, back in your home country, you will be waiting at the belt, waiting for your bag, but you would have already lost it. It would be missing. You would have missed it. But then the volunteer work that you did in Sri Lanka, the good name that you got, did you miss that? Did it get lost? No. Was it stolen by other people? No. Can it be shared among other people? Only if somebody rejoices in that. But people, people get married, and after they get divorced, they have to struggle to share their properties, their wealth, TVs, sofas, and money. But the good deeds, you don't have to struggle to share it. Whatever the good deeds you do individually, you can take it along to your next life, to this life. Now see, Buddha gave a nice message of doing good deeds. See this wonderful advice. This is in a book called Dhammapada. In what kind of a book? What's the name of the book? Dhammapada. There are very small stanzas, small verses. Relatives, friends and companions welcome a long absent person returning from abroad. Now you are in abroad, right? Likewise, in passing from this world to next world, the merit one he has collected welcomes him. Now just imagine when you are going back to your home country, people are waiting to welcome you. They would prepare the food that you like to eat. They would come to the airport and wait in the flower bouquet to meet you. They would hug you. And they would welcome you. Warmly they will welcome you. In the same way, when you do good deeds, one day when you leave this world and go to another world, the good deeds will welcome you. Now some people, when they came to this human world, they were not born in a country where there is sufficient food. Some people were born in a country where the weather is horrible. No food. They are depending on other countries. Some people are waiting to eat food. There are people who are waiting to eat food from garbage trucks. Aren't there such people? Why? There was nothing to welcome them. To welcome them, they need to have done something good. Now see the value of learning the Buddhist teachings. Even in this life, if you were not welcomed by your good friends, that means with good merit, at least if they have not done good deeds in past lives, in this life there is a possibility to do wholesome deeds and make their life successful in this life and next life. Don't people have? People have. But if the problem is, these things, on their own they can't really recognize the reason and the cause and the reason to be born as poor. So that's why we need a guidance of a Buddha. There are things that we do not know. There are things that we know, but if we learn things from a person who knows more than us, then we can learn to those teachings and think wisely and see, and you can apply to your life and practice and see, and then you will see results. Now, generosity is not something bad. Now, to practice generosity, to have patience and not to get angry, you need a support. You need to have some knowledge. That knowledge is, knowing the reality of life, knowing that this life is impermanent, knowing that death can happen at any point of time, knowing that this material treasure cannot be taken to next life, knowing that whatever the material things that you gather cannot be taken to next life, But the treasure of merit, the good things you do from your body, speech and mind can take you next life. Nobody, it will not decay. That cannot be stolen by others. That will come behind you like a shadow that never leaves you. So, in the last episode, we learned a sutta called Nidhikhanda Sutta. What's the name of the sutta? Nidhikhanda Sutta. That was about a treasure. So, I will read that sutta for you all to let you know the Buddha's words. Buddha says, a man stores his savings in a deep pit close to water, thinking, when a duty or need has arisen, it will be there to help me. It's clear, right? Then now see how systematically Buddha preached Dhamma. To free me from a king if slandered, or from molestation from a thief, or from a debt, or famine, or accident. For this kind of help, savings are stored up in the world. True or false? True, right? People save money with this kind of an intention. Then Buddha explains, although it is well stored, although it is well stored in a deep pit close to water, still, now see what Buddha says, still it cannot help him in all things on every occasion. Perhaps those savings are removed from that place. Can't it happen? It can be removed from that place. Or he forgets the signs telling where they lie. This earth changed, right? Due to soil erosion, due to floods. This won't remain. Sometimes plants might grow there. And then Buddha preaches, or nagas take them away, or yakas carry them off. You know about haunting stuff, right? You know about ghosts. You have heard this unseen spirit. They also take these things. Why? They die with craving. They are born as demons because they died with craving. They died being attached to this world. They have not done wholesome deeds. They have done unwholesome deeds. After they die also, they do unwholesome deeds. Then Buddha preaches, or the hears he dislikes, extract them unseen. And when his merit comes to an end, that means when his luck is finished, all of it will be destroyed. Now, don't people get bankrupt? Luck is over. But while he was wealthy, if he shared that money with others, that treasure will come behind him. That merit will come behind him. At least people will help him. Why? He has helped a lot of people when he was strong. What do you think, Dhamma friends? Logical, right? Practical, right? But some people, when they get money, they forget that the money is impermanent. They become proud. They get intoxicated with that. And they become greedy over the money. So then they don't feel like practicing generosity. They don't feel the pain of people who are suffering in this world. They forget that their life also can become like poor people one day. They forget that there's a life after death. There's a life after death. And there's a variation among human beings. There's a variation among the appearance also, right? There's a variation among the voice. There's a variation uh, among our wealth. There's a variation in our skin color. Aren't there? There is, right? So when you see this variation, you will try to avoid the difficult sides. You will try to avoid the appearance and the misfortunes and difficulties in life, and to find the path to experience happiness and to get a life that gives you happiness. But then, dear Dhamma friends, if we do not attain Nibbana, Nibbana means, Nibbana means overcoming from suffering forever, purifying the mind and eradicating the mind from lust, anger and delusion forever, completely destroying lust, anger and delusion. Just imagine, now in our mind there are three unwholesome roots. The three unwholesome roots are lust, anger and delusion. Now when people get angry, some people, they complain others. They complain, they put the blame on the person who scolded that person. Now Buddha said that we get angry due to unwise thinking, and just because there's a sign of anger. So when this unwise thinking and sign of anger get connected, what happens? We get angry. But even if there's a sign of anger, and if you think wisely, if you think this sound that I heard is impermanent, these things are not under my control. He is called a body that is full of blood inside. This is a skeleton covered with muscles and tendons. He is called as such a body with a skeleton, and there's blood inside, there's pus inside, there's urine inside, there's excrement inside. What's wrong scolding such a body? If we think like that, will we get angry? What do you think? No. The problem is we think, who is he to scold me? What right he has to scold me? When you see the impermanent things as impermanent, you don't get attached to them. The problem is the things that are impermanent in the world, we take them as permanent. Then we get attached. Then when those things changes, we can't bear it. Then we suffer over them, we fight for them. And after we die, the things that we fought, we have to leave them and go. So that's why a Buddha is appeared in this world, to help people, to teach good values, since you got a human life, to live peacefully. So the final goal, the final aim of a Buddha, the final aim that Buddha gives for a disciple of a Buddha is to attain Nibbana. That means eradicating lust, anger and delusion. That leads you to eradicate rebirth. Now imagine, one day I have to die, right? I have to go through diseases. I won't be able to gulp the food one day sometimes. I won't be able to taste the food properly one day. I won't be able to walk alone without the help of another person. Can't it happen to me? I may have to start using a walking stick. People will teach me. Not everybody will be happy to help me always. I will have to depend from someone else always. All these things, miserable things, we got because of birth. We can't complain other people. We can't complain the doctors. Because of birth, along with birth, we got these things. Death, meeting with people that we do not like, not getting what we want. All came together with what? With birth. So the reason to birth is accumulation of karma. Karma means, we do good things and bad things both. So we have to eradicate all the karma that we have done. Then we can abandon rebirth and birth. We have to eradicate lust, anger and delusion forever. Now in this life, even though it's difficult to eradicate lust, anger and delusion completely, at least if we start eradicating it, at least if we can delight in this Dhamma, then slowly we can enter this path one fine day, at least in next life. At least at the face of death we will be able to enter this path. So dear Dhamma friends, that's why we learn this Dhamma, to attain Nibbana. All these episodes, past episodes, we try to explain from many suttas and with introductions, with explanations, to have you some, to give you some interest to learn the Buddhist teachings. So dear Dhamma friends, today we learn something more about from that sutta, about the Nidhikhanda, from the Nidhikhanda Sutta. And in next episode we will learn about the Nidhikhanda Sutta and we'll complete this sutta. Namo Buddhaya.